Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Summary. I'm your host, Kyle. With me, as always, is Steve. Steve, good morning to you, man. How are you doing after yesterday's match? I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling the same.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's crazy. We're gonna unpack it all today, but I don't know what to think of this team.
It's so high and low, isn't it?
It really is.
Like I
Like,
think
I don't,
yesterday was the best match I think I've seen them play all season.
uh, it was
Personally,
probably up there.
yeah,
It was up there. I mean, like even just thinking about the past week, right? Last week we sat here and we previewed the Man City match. We were like holding a clean sheet and then took the lead, and everything was like okay for 84 minutes.
yeah,
Then Silva scores, then Holland scores the penalty in extra time, and we lose. And it's okay. They're a good team. Like it happens. Um, in years past, I would have probably felt a lot differently about losing like that. But I think we have to understand we're not the same team right now as we were. And there's been improvements and whatnot. But anyways, so back to my long-winded intro here. 84 minutes clean sheet. A couple things happen, fine. Then you got Sunderland, um, clean sheet. And then yesterday you completely dominate, clean sheet.
hmm
So in the last three matches, aside from 10 minutes, we've been just rock solid as far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, you can pick apart little moments and whatnot, but things have been looking up for the most part lately. And yesterday it looked like a Klopp team was playing. We were everywhere. That was heavy metal for a lot of that game. And we know Brighton, regardless of where they're at in the league, like they're no pushover.
yeah.
And this is the only trophy that they have to fight for. So they're going to put out their best 11. Yeah, it was really nice to see.
The Man City match pisses me off a little bit, actually a lot of it, because you're right. I just thought we were going. It felt like we had the game under control. Felt like we were going to win. Felt like everything was going our way. And then, of course, we have to give that up. And then the slap in the face at the end was just, I don't know, dude. That was just an absolutely wild ending to that game. Um, yeah, the team itself is playing really well. And I think yesterday, everything was connecting. Like, you saw some long diagonal passes, you saw some one touch, you saw a lot of good football. And the clean sheet also speaks to our defense tightening up, which has been our biggest criticism, over the course of this season. Um, I think yesterday was a good indication of what this team's capable of.
Who do we got here?
You got
Beth,
Tony.
hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Yo, gosh, Tony, yeah. Say hello in the chat if you're just jumping in.
I'll be
Yeah,
right
I mean,
back.
there's not a ton to talk through today. We're gonna do, we'll unpack the match a bit yesterday. Kyle and I will chat through some of the Szoboszlai and Konate contract news. But leave your thoughts here in the comments. Let us know kind of what you guys thought of the match yesterday. And I think more importantly, kind of just touching on the point that I just brought up, how do you guys feel about Liverpool Football Club lately? It's obviously been an interesting year, a lot of emotions, a roller coaster, ups and downs. But when I think about like the Newcastle win 4-1, I think about the fact that we probably should have won that City game. And again, world-class players, world-class opponent, things can happen towards the end of matches, and they stole that one, and it hurts, it burns, but it was nice to see that. I said last week many times that I thought last week's match was a measuring stick, and as far as I'm concerned, we did enough to make me feel comfortable that we can still play with the best, and that these last couple of months of form where we've turned it around, albeit a ton of draws, we haven't lost a ton, but we also, I feel like we haven't played necessarily really big names on a consistent basis. Maybe save Arsenal for that point. But Newcastle 4-1, City steals it at the death, clean sheet Sunderland, who's good. We know they're good. And then Brighton, of course, again, regardless of where they're at in the league. Yesterday's a really big win. Tony says second half felt better than the first half. Tony, are you referring to yesterday? I'm assuming you are, because I said let me know what you guys think of the match. Kyle, I'll jump out and then we can switch it over.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, we're good to go now. All right, where were we?
So what we're doing is we're waiting on some comments here on thoughts from yesterday's match. Tony says second half felt better than the first. Yesterday, I mean, yeah, I feel like that's the case all the time for the most part. But I will say it just looked like they looked fresh yesterday.
They did.
So I thought that was interesting.
I'm gonna just let everyone know right now. I'm really trying to fight through something going on with my stomach right now. It's not really nausea; it's more pain. But I might have to step out a couple times just to let everyone know. But if it gets too bad, I might just end the stream. But we'll push through. Tony says, I'm still not a fan of Slot's tactics, still too slow in the build-up for me. That's another thing I noticed yesterday. Like, for example, Szoboszlai's goal was just beautiful. Szoboszlai's goal was just team football, quick build-up, everything I've wanted to see. And it just seemed like all of Slot's tactics yesterday just kind of clicked. You're muted.
It was Klopp-esque. I'll say it again. That was like a standard Klopp goal. Just lethal.
I know. That's the first thing that went through my mind.
3 seconds, you put it in the back of the net, like end. It's just nuts.
That was the first thing that went through my mind. And I think, God, who was there was Curtis Jones' goal on the assist from Kirkej, and then Szoboszlai's goal, and then
Gakpo.
No, Gakpo's was offside. It was solid. The penalty. It was the penalty.
Yeah.
That was the other one. But yeah, I mean, and Brighton's a good team. I mean, you and I talked before the match yesterday. Brighton are a really good team, and we just performed really well yesterday, dude. I'm really trying to push through this. This is weird. It just came out of nowhere. I just have this awful pain.
You need to go to the hospital. I mean, we're on live television, Kyle. You can't.
I know. I'm trying to push through for the people, but no, I know I don't need to go to the hospital. I might just need to pull the trigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, you do what you got to do. I will say, what are our thoughts on Salah? That's something I wanted to talk about today as well. Kyle, if you're up to it, what are you thinking about Salah right now?
He had a great game yesterday. I'll say that.
Still messy. Still messy, but a goal and an assist, that's what you expect from a world-class player.
Yeah.
You've been in a rut of form for a long time. You haven't scored in a while. You got turmoil. There's trouble in paradise at the club. And I think he's adopting this new sort of persona as somebody that's got to fight and earn his place again in some ways. He's still going to he's still going to play, but you're not above being dropped. And you make comments like that, you're kind of in the doghouse with a lot of people for a while. And I said it a couple weeks ago. He made a couple plays. It was the match before Man City, maybe the Newcastle match, where I was like, huh. It just seemed like he's kind of buying into this, I'm not guaranteed anything, and I still have to perform at a really, really high level. And then even yesterday, again, I think he's improving a little bit over time. Each match, he's kind of getting his feet again. But a world-class player, even when they're not on top form, to get a goal and an assist, even if it's from the penalty spot, that's what we need. We need him to produce. Even if he's in terrible form, he still needs to have 1 or 2 moments a game where he's nicking a goal or setting somebody up with an assist. The corners, however, on the other hand, I don't love the corners. And Kyle and I, we have a group chat. We were talking about this the other day. just bashing how his corners are always short. They go near post. And then, of course, the next corner, I think, got headed in by Van Dijk or somebody. The fact that he's on corners is just kind of still blowing my mind. But I guess he's not a threat aerially. So should he be in there? I think he should be in there regardless, like in the box. Because I think if a little deflection, something bounces to him, he's got that killer instinct where he can put one on target or just make something out of nothing. Maybe not so much this year. But yeah, Tony says here, Salah's looking more of a provider than a goal scorer to me. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I think he's changed his style of play a bit where everything that he tries just that was working last year is not working this year. So, but he does get the ball plenty and he can find a pass. So I actually don't hate that because the goals will come. But if you can at least kind of keep the ball, don't give it away easily, make decent decisions and create a couple chances a match, I think where we're at now and where we were with Salah a couple months ago, that is an improvement. Ross says it's not about bettering his stats from last season. He's already a legend, so his Pachula day isn't helping. You expect maturity from him. I think that's what you're saying. You expect maturity from him. For sure. And I think everybody's allowed to make mistakes. And some of the interviews he's had recently, I mean, yesterday he jumped in there and he talked about winning trophies, talked about winning the FA Cup, said that Dominic Szoboszlai is one of the best in the world this year, which I agree with. Hopefully we can lock down his contract. If Kyle gets back, we'll talk about that. Tony says the corners suck. Yeah, why is he on corners? I mean, it was always like Trent and Robbo. I feel like Szoboszlai, even McAllister. Who am I missing? Who else would take corners? But yeah, it just doesn't feel right with Salah out there taking corners. But again, this falls into that same scenario where we're talking about his role changing. Like, do you think he wants to take corners? I would imagine he doesn't. I would imagine he would love to be in there with a chance to score a goal, to get ahead on something, to get a deflection and kind of just nick a goal. But the corners thing kind of blows my mind. Arne Slot had come out and says that we are actively working on it's all good, Ross. Actively working on contract talks with Konate. It's really good news because if any of you were here last week, I said that the signing of Jaquette, and again, I don't know if that's the pronunciation of his name, but the French defender that we brought in, it felt like the writing on the wall because Van Dijk's not going anywhere, at least for I think one more year. And then I wouldn't be surprised, he's captain. I wouldn't be surprised if we extend him. It's really probably going to be up to him. He can still play at a high level. We know that. Sure, he's got some consistency issues, but it felt like the writing on the wall that Konate was probably on the way out making that signing. But the fact that they're still working on it and Slot actually made a comment about it feels really good. Let me know what you guys think about Konate. Is he staying? Is he going? It's crazy. In the last week, I've done a complete 180. Last week, I thought that it didn't look good and that he was going. But now, for some reason, just based on the reports and the interviews and the time that's passed this past week, I feel like he may be staying, which would be really, really good news for us. Because say what you want about Konate, we all know it's not that easy to just go find a defender that's got Premier League experience and has won trophies and can play in the Champions League and can be world class on his day. It's not easy to just replace that. Like, who are you going to bring in that is legitimately proven? Even the signings we've brought in, Leone, we saw him play one match maybe preseason and then one match ACL. He looked great in that match, but still, we don't know what we have with him. Very promising. Jaquette, he's supposed to be really good. We spent a bunch of money on him, but does anybody really know if he can be a week in, week out starter? No, of course not. And if you say yes to that question, I think you're just a lot more optimistic than I am. But I hope he stays. Yeah, Tony, good point here. Ross says he hopes he stays, Tony says. It looks like Konate will stay now. He looks like he's trying to play more now. He definitely looks like he's got that energy back. He's had a couple of really good performances lately, and a little less sloppy, caught out a lot less, in my opinion, and also like a little bit more aggressive, like controlled aggression, if that makes sense. Like he's sliding in, but it's kind of close, but they're not fouls. Like he's just taking a little bit more of a risky approach, but also like it's under control, which is interesting to see. Ross says, I think we need another CB and Ebu stays. So Ross, you're saying, and guys, anybody that's in here now, let us know your thoughts on kind of like the depth of the center back position. Do we need to bring in more folks? Ross says he thinks we need another center back and Ebu stays. So that would leave us with Van Dijk. Gomez, if he stays, I mean, I don't think any of us really know. Konate, Jaquette, Leone coming off the injury. What's that? Five center backs. Again, Gomez, I think, is the asterisk. If Gomez is leaving for sure, which some people seem to think, I haven't kind of been able to wrap my head around that. I thought Gomez was going to leave here and there for the last 6 years. He's still here. The guy, he might die in a red shirt. Love Joe Gomez. That would leave us with 5. So Ross is saying, I guess, Ross, you're saying that you think we need 6. I think I'm fine with 5 if Gomez stays. It's good to bring in like really good players that will fight for these spots, but if you have Leone, Jaquette, Konate, Van Dijk, and Gomez as your number 5, teams would kill for that. Teams would kill to have Joe Gomez as their 5th best center back. We know what Gomez can do when he's called upon, even at left back. All right, let's do this. Let's look forward to what we have upcoming, and we'll also unpack the Szoboszlai contract talks. I think the Szoboszlai piece, I wonder if they started, this is just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the chat here. I think they may have started talks a lot earlier than we think, or a while before it makes it to the actual media. And what I mean by that is there's no doubt that like these players have meetings with management and they talk to their agents on a regular basis, and they know, they circle on the calendar, okay, my contract is up in 3 years. Like, what are we going to start thinking about? Are you enjoying the club? Do you want to stay? And then you're 2 years out. And that's when things I think really get going, because it's tough as a player, depending on the scenario. I don't think it's really a great idea for anyone to be in the final year of their contract. Again, there are some asterisks there. For example, age. Is the club that you're at successful? I think with Szoboszlai, it's an interesting one because we win the league. He's really solid the last few years, but he wasn't like he's playing. He wasn't playing like he's playing now. And I wonder if his turn in form and like his rise to being our player of the season, undoubtedly, like put a pause on those talks, or they have a meeting. I don't know what it might be. Maybe it's like every month, a check-in every couple weeks. At some point, they probably had to pump the brakes on Soboslai's side and say, "Hey guys, like look what I'm doing for you lately. Like we need to revisit and reevaluate the progress or lack thereof that we're making here." So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Again, I said this last week. It's really frustrating that what we dealt with, I think was it last year? Yeah, with the Trent saga, Van Dijk and Salah contract. It felt like an eternity waiting for those to come through. It just seems like every year we're kind of waiting till the very end, and I don't know if it's just like I'm biased and I'm just thinking about Liverpool players, but I feel like gone are the days where we are extending people earlier on in their like standard 5-year contract. Um, Now, Szoboszlai is not paid like a chump, so maybe we felt like that probably wasn't necessary. If he was on like 50K a week, we would have probably extended him and given him a raise a lot earlier, but it feels like we're just waiting a little too long, and this stuff is distracting, for me at least. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I talked about this last week. It kind of bothers me that this is kind of what the news is, right? Like if you go look up like my timeline on Instagram, I follow all sorts of Liverpool accounts, Premier League accounts, football accounts in general. It's all the contract talks. Like this morning, I didn't see a single thing about the Brighton match. It's just contract talks. It's about the sentiment of the players. Mo Salah's happy again, right? Konate could stay. This is what Slot said. So, yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with that. What's up, Yogesh? Already said that earlier. If anybody else is in here, say hello. Pop in, say hello. I want to do this next. Let's look forward to what we have coming up, because I think we are in an interesting spot. I'm also going to pull up the table here. See if I can get this on the screen. All right. This could work. Let me... I'm guessing you guys can see this. All right. This is, I think I'm just on Google here. There we go. All right. So here's where we stand after match week 26. This is what we are dealing with. So obviously we have Arsenal in first. City. Beth says, hello, my favorite nephew. Don't tell the others. I know that is the case. And I love you. Okay. City's still on their heels. Actually, fun fact for the chat. I don't know how to do a poll in here. I think that would be Kyle, but fun little question for the chat. Who would you rather see win the Premier League this year? Don't say Aston Villa, because I think that would be my choice, but I don't think they have a chance. Man City or Arsenal? Who would you rather win the Premier League, given that we will not? Let me know what you guys think here in the chat. Who you'd prefer to win between Arsenal and Man City, and then I'll give my 2 cents as well. Oh boy, Ross says Arsenal. Yikes. And I understand why, Ross. I really do. I get that. Tony. Apparently, Szoboszlai said it's his dream to play for Real Madrid. I had $1 for every time I heard that one of these players has a dream to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. I mean, we'd all be rich. All of us. Tony says Arsenal over City as well. And I get it, Ross, just to break like the City malaise. Totally. There's just something about Arsenal that I absolutely cannot stand. It drives me nuts. And in some ways, I've kind of accepted the City dynasty, if you will. And it's when you think about like the charges, right? Where are we on the charges, by the way? Did anything ever happen with that? I thought they were about to wrap it up and just get a fine, but I don't know if I ever heard anything else about it. Jordan says we'll see if Arsenal can see it all the way. Yeah, we've been waiting to see that for what? This would be year number 4 now? At least year number 3, where Arsenal's kind of in the mix and then can't finish. But for me, it's like I like the rivalry that we had with Man City. I loved it. There's a lot of leverage that we have in like those bragging conversations about the money that they have, the money that they spent, the oil money, the charges, the plastic fans. And we have all that in our corner. and we can use that in these sorts of discussions. But it was also like it was just Man City and Liverpool for so long, and I've said in the past there's levels to this, and Arsenal has come close to reaching that level, but it's almost nice to be like the only two teams in that conversation. I don't know if I'm saying that the way that I mean it, but if Arsenal win the league, they officially get into this bucket of the last like 8 years of the Premier League, where it's really just been us and City. And I think it almost diminishes what we've done a bit. If Man City win the league this year, I don't think that changes the league success that we have had fighting for the trophies, winning it twice. If Arsenal do, it makes the league it's better probably for the neutral supporter. It's better for the anti-City people out there, but I think it may almost muddy the waters a little bit about the fact that we've been there for the last 8-9 years, whatever it's been, and we've been going up against oil money and a team that literally cheats, and we were still able to find a way to get it done. If Arsenal win the league, they're kind of like officially in that conversation, and I kind of enjoyed it just being like Liverpool and the bad guys, and that was the conversation every year. That coupled with the fact that Mikel Arteta drives me nuts. There's something about him. I think he's delusional. He's always looking for excuses, especially when they start to slip towards the end of these seasons and drop points. And it's always an excuse. The ball, the weather, the injuries. It's like they didn't even have a striker. You're playing Mikel Merino up front last year. Why do you think you didn't win the league? It's insane. It's literally insane. Anyways, so we sit 3 points out of fourth. 5 spots will get into the Champions League. 2 teams we're chasing, I guess you could even say 3, because I do think Villa will start to drop points, are Man United and Chelsea. And then we got Brentford right behind. Honestly, not too worried about them. Everton in 8th, which is just insane. It was only a matter of time until they figured it out a little bit, but you can even see in their recent form, like, they're not great. Chelsea and Man United are hot in the league. 0 losses in the last 5. But I think the situation here is we will get top 4/top 5. I think there's plenty of time left, especially given that we are relatively healthy right now. At least with our first 11, if you, I guess, don't count Isak, we're relatively healthy, and we've been somewhat stable over the last few months. Man United and Chelsea, they're on good form right now, but they're due for a couple dips in form each before the end of the year. It's too much time left. It's 3 months left. Maybe even more. So we have 12 matches left. It'll be interesting to see. I feel pretty confident that we will get into the Champions League. Personally, I'd love to push for 3rd. I think that would be a really good way to finish the year, given the turmoil that we dealt with earlier in the year. Ross says, I would love Arsenal to bottle it and we go on a run and win it, but I doubt that's remotely possible. Look, it is possible. I just don't see City and Arsenal dropping off that bad. Now, 11 points back from City. I would say if we played them again and we could swing like a 6-pointer and they mix in a couple draws, a couple losses, we could maybe catch them. I think 15 points. It's definitely, I mean, it's been done. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you if it was in the Premier. I can't tell you any of that. But we've seen big leads at the top get blown by Arsenal. And it's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. The league, you'd have to win the league. What would we win the league on? 70-something points? Maybe? It would be crazy. That would be quite a turn of events compared to points totals of champions in the last 6-8 years. But anyways, coming up, Ross had said we play Forest next. Let me switch over to that. And we'll unpack what the next few weeks looks like for us before we wrap up the stream here. Appreciate you guys joining me. Kyle is dealing with some issues right now, so he is not here, and I don't expect him back, and that's totally fine. I'll just steer the ship myself. No problem at all. But I don't know why this isn't loading. So let's do... Just doesn't want to load. Give me a second here, folks. Bear with me. Fakito, what's up? I'd rather us get relegated than Arsenal winning the league. Dude, I'm not too far off this sentiment. I'm really not. God, there's something about Arsenal that I just... the feeling is so strong that I'm okay with the cheaters winning the league again. That's where I'm at. Me and Fakito, we'll die on that hill together. Appreciate you jumping on, man. All right. I should be able to get this going now. Here we go. All right. So, Forest in the league, that is... Oh, we got nothing this week. This, yeah, this is all comps. All right. So we got some time for the boys to get fresh. And then even the following week, West Ham, 6 days rest. I don't love that because I do love a midweek match and having an excuse to just log out of work for a couple hours on like a Tuesday afternoon here on the East Coast of the US. But man, this actually looks really promising. So Forest away. They just fired their third manager of the year, I believe. Good time to play Forest. Who said that? Somebody said that earlier. West Ham, love that. Winnable. West Ham at home. Wolves away. And then FA Cup, Champions League. Then it's... Guys, I don't see a particularly difficult game until literally a month from today. Is today the 15th? A month from today, Tottenham at home. And I don't even know if we can call that difficult. At this point, a lot of things can change. Right? But these, I mean, if you could pick up 9 points from Forest, West Ham, and Wolves, again, some would say that's wishful thinking based on how we've played this year. These are all winnable matches. And I will say, we have looked a bit more solid defensively. We're not perfect, but we held City scoreless. We let up 1 goal against Newcastle. 4-1 win. We held City goalless for 84 minutes. Then clean sheet Sunderland, clean sheet against Brighton yesterday. And that's with rotation, a bit of rotation. So, I mean, that's been the problem all year. If I were to go back to the table, you'll see we've conceded way too many goals. Our goal differential is, I think, 6 on the year. Even Chelsea and United are well beyond that. But these 3 matches are very, very important to win. Draw's not good enough. And you definitely can't lose. But if we can pick up 9 points, puts us in a really interesting spot. For some reason, when I share my screen here, it just takes forever. Okay, this is a little bit cleaner here. Yeah, Ross says we're building a small good run of form. Let's continue that. And you know, Ross, this is what I feel like we've kind of been waiting for. After that chaotic period towards the end of 2025, we did turn it around, right? But it still didn't feel great. So many draws, 13, 14 game unbeaten run, whatever it was. I still didn't feel great. It was so boring. And it's not, I wouldn't say we weren't playing to win, but we were definitely a lot more conservative. And that's when the tactics started to be questioned. I feel like that dip in form we had where we were like losing, it was more so about like, hey guys, just turn it around. Like, what are you doing? Why are these individual players? Why are they experiencing poor form? Like, you guys are better than this. You have so much quality than the teams you're losing to. I feel like it was only recently when we actually turned it around. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like once we turned it around and we went on that unbeaten run with all those draws and weird wins mixed in, that's when the tactics started being questioned. Because we still didn't feel comfortable. We were playing against lesser competition. And yeah, we were getting decent results. But I feel like that's when the tactics really started to be looked at like under a microscope. But anyways, if you get 9 points from these next 3 matches, I think we're in a really good spot. I wouldn't be surprised if at that point we are sitting in 4th. I could sit here and look at who Man United plays next and who Chelsea plays next. I just feel like that's going to make my computer crash. But very interesting. Playing not to lose, Ross says, hey, Laura, what's up, man? Remember that run under Klopp with all the defensive injuries? We still got third after end of the season, way above expectations. I remember a couple of runs under Klopp. I think are you referring to the one where it was like Nat Phillips and Reece Williams and Kabak like that year? Or those might have actually been separate years. Thiago was out. Is that the one you're talking about? I can't remember. But yes, I do remember all those runs. And I think the fact, yeah. Hey, Laura says, yeah. Okay, so we're speaking the same language here. The fact that we're still where we are, and like, again, guys, we really should finish in a Champions League spot. I really don't think that's going to be an issue. The only people who can be responsible for us not getting there are ourselves. We're better than United. We're better than Chelsea. They're on good form right now, but they're due to drop off soon. And I would almost guarantee, without even looking at it, that Chelsea and United have a more difficult schedule over the next 3 Premier League weekends than we do. So this is an opportunity to jump up. Ross says good run of games to against some weaker opposition, to turn things around a little bit. And I think we might be having a really different conversation in a few weeks. It does seem like the fixture congestion's lightening up a little bit, which is nice for the guys. I don't know who that will get back for us from injury. Is anybody on the fence with an injury right now that like just the lighter schedule will help? Is it Gomez? Is Gomez fit? I can't remember. Anyways, I hope Kyle's doing all right. I appreciate you guys sticking with me as I steered the ship, landed the plane solo here. It actually wasn't too bad. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the chat what you guys are thinking. Before we wrap this up, any questions, any comments, anything you guys think we should discuss? Michael Ramsey said, I am still slot out. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, Michael. It's difficult because there's this dark cloud hanging over Arne Slot just based on what we've experienced this year. And to be completely honest, I think anyone, even our assistant coaches, most of which I don't even know their names, could do just as good as Slot has done this year, maybe better. That's the problem. I don't have anything against Arne Slot. I think his tactics could be better, but he also won us a league trophy. Or he managed us to a league trophy. I would imagine he has something to do with the fact that we kind of broke the bank and brought in some players, and there's something to be said for all of that. But if you guys step back and like think about this, just generally speaking, don't you feel like we would be in the same position that we're in the league, in the Champions League, maybe in the FA Cup, with anybody at the helm? Like anybody. Like, do we actually believe that Slot's doing a better job than the average next man could? And I think the answer is no. Because he doesn't do anything that makes me think, oh, wow, he just outcoached the other team. Thank God we have him. I literally think Michael Ramsey, you could be on the touchline, and Liverpool would still be where they're at right now. It all comes down to the players at the end of the day. The system is the system, but if you guys aren't executing, like Mo Salah's been a ghost this year. Last year, the guy had 35 to 38 goal contributions at this point. Just insanity. We don't have that. We don't have that. We're relying on Szoboszlai, who's a makeshift right back and a workhorse, to carry the team. And we're still here. Thank God. Tony Madden says, I liked not having VAR yesterday, even with the offside with Rio's goal. All right. I do like VAR. I don't like VAR, but I think it's not perfect. But there are definitely times where it is nice to have it when there is a blatant and obvious mistake. In big matches. For example, if we were fighting for the league and we lost a match because of a blatant and obvious error that even the worst VAR referees couldn't miss, I would be heartbroken. We've seen that. We've seen that in the past. Michael Ramsey says any Liverpool fan with dignity and pride should be slot out from the loss to United. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, there's been, just to your point, Michael, it's not even just that. It's the losses to just other rivals as well. It's the losses to the bottom table type clubs. It's the last minute draws that we allow with teams that in some instances don't even belong in the Premier League. It's really wild. Even if Slot were to turn this around, which I hope he does, sure, we'll all be fine. Eventually we'll all come around to some extent. But when things start to dip again, everybody's going to revert back to, oh, do you remember that time Crystal Palace beat us 3 times in a 2.5 month span? Do you remember that time we drew to Burnley or whoever it's been, right? And then the rival piece, of course, the United lost to Chelsea, lost to City twice. Fulham. Gosh, Leeds. I think Leeds was a draw. Was Leeds that like 3-3 draw? Like, good God. It's tough. Yeah, Tony says I agree. Losses to the lower side sting more. Anything can happen in these rivalries, Tony. You're right. Anything can happen in these rivalries with these big clubs. Anything can happen. We've struggled, especially maybe not the last few years, but it was always tough to go play at Old Trafford. I remember the Mourinho days. It might have been Rashford scoring a brace against us. That was during the Klopp heydays. We were on top of the world at that point. Those things can happen. But when your level drops to the point where teams that are clearly getting relegated or deserve to, or maybe even don't deserve to be in the league at all this year, should be like a mid-season relegation situation. I mean, Wolves, 1 win in 26 matches. 1 win. You should be able to win at least a handful of games, at least 2 or 3 at this point, just on pure luck alone. Just on a 0-0 match, and you get awarded a cheap penalty. You slot it away and you win. Own goals, deflections. Wolves are brutal. Feel bad for them. Burnley's not much better, and West Ham down there. Ooh, West Ham, Forest, Spurs. Unbelievable teams to see in 16th, 17th, 18th. I mean, I guess maybe not Forest because they were down, but we know Forest has some history. Decent club. Michael says Man United is your biggest rival, plus that Man United team is crap. Historically, the biggest rival. I haven't felt that way for the last 5-6 years. Personally, it's been City. For me, and I think I even, in some ways, enjoy the Everton matches and that rivalry a bit more. But overall, if we're talking English, traditionally in English football, it's United. I get it. I totally get your point. What a crock says Slot has shown a Brendan Rodgers level of tactical rigidity that is worn on the players. Yeah, you could definitely make that argument. But it looks like they're having a little bit more fun the last week. And that's what me and Ross were saying earlier. Like, things are looking up right now. Unfortunately, we've been on this roller coaster all year where we felt this before and then things change and we start to dip again. So I'm here for the ride, guys. I am here for the ride. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens next. And this is the last comment. I appreciate you guys all jumping on, and we will all send Kyle our well wishes. But I think Xabi Alonso and another CB would cure a lot of our problems. It seems like maybe I'm just thinking about it differently than Ross and you, Croc. It doesn't seem like we need another CB right now, assuming that Konate is going to stay. Xabi Alonso, okay, what he did in the Bundesliga was really, really impressive. He goes to Real Madrid. I actually don't think it was all that bad. You look at the results and where they were at in the table, and I really don't think it was all that bad. You have these egos, and we all know that saying, like, you let the inmates run the asylum. I think it's just a tough group of guys to rally around. You have some of the biggest names in the sport in one dressing room. You have a club with insane history, insanely high standards. And when you don't meet those standards, it looks really bad. But I actually don't think it was all that bad for Xabi in Real Madrid. I think he was okay to leave. I think he was fine leaving. He was probably just like, yeah, this is just, I'm not enjoying this. We saw Ancelotti struggle with them too. I don't know how I feel about Alonso. Michael says only idiots want Alonso. I think he's like the hot topic right now, and he's what people are talking about because he's available. He's got the Liverpool links. We wanted him before. I don't know how I feel about that. I'd have to think more about that. There were times where I really was excited about having him. I'm not against it, but I think at this point we're not going to see any changes unless we lose like 5 in a row. Nothing's happening right now. And then I also think it's very unlikely that we finish the year, especially if we finish decent, that we fire Slot in the summer. He definitely played a role in bringing in some of these players that you got, like Leone, Isak, Verts, players that he brought in that either took a long while to get going or are now injured. Like he has his fingerprints on some of those signings, and I think they're going to want to give him more time to see what he can do with the guys they brought in for him. They brought in those guys for him, for his team. Not that they can't fit under another manager. Just, you guys get what I'm saying. Anyways, I appreciate you guys sticking on here as Kyle had to step out. It was fun. Not a ton to talk about today, but I think we're in a good spot. It feels pretty good right now. 3 winnable games upcoming in the league. 3 very, very winnable games. And then after that, sprinkle in a couple other competitions, and then we got Tottenham, who's, Christ, they're in 16th place. 16th. Oh, man. 16th. Imagine that. Imagine if we were in 16th. I wouldn't even be on here talking if we were in 16th. Anyways, happy Sunday. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Until next time, Reds. Take care.